As part of the 500 sub special. Okay, let's just make this a marathon of 5 countdowns then. But we'll count this one as a 500 sub one. Again, thank you guys for subscribing, and I really wish I could have continued this as a 500 sub special for all 5 countdowns, but based on what is left, there's 4 to go. By the time I get the second one or third one done, I might hit 600, kind of rendering it pointless. But still, thank you guys. Now, Zekrom, pull up the first topic. Roll intro. Video games have both characters you like, and it also has characters you hate. I know this topic has been done by H Spirit of Vengeance, Fawful's Minion, as well as other people, but I want to jump into this today. After all, this won 5 votes. So today I'm counting down my top 9 most hated characters. What happened to the other 6 entries? Askitty got dizzy and clawed off the entries. Shiny Co, I know you did this to get back at me for that Dale pick.
That wasn't me.
Then who did?
Good job, Gadget. That's what he gets for hating X5.
Did you send Gadget back to the past to mess with your past self?
Yeah, so?
Good job.
Whatever the case may be, let's get to the rules. 1 character per franchise, and if you disagree with these entries, leave a comment or make a video response. Well, it's time to jump into hell again. So Iris, get the grapple hook, and let's begin! Gun. A game that I would prefer over Red Dead Redemption, with its variety in weapons, including Indian weapons. A great story that explores the truth about Colton White, the main character, and gorgeous scenery as you travel throughout the world. However, with each game, there must be a villain, and at its core, there is usually a good villain in them. But with every good apple, there must be one bad core, and that would be the number 9 entry, Thomas Magruder. Oh lord, this guy. He's greedy, thinks of no one but himself, and is willing to kill anyone for money. So this is what Scrooge McDuck would be in the Wild West. Don't believe me? Well, here we go. Years before the start of Gun, Magruder killed Colton's real parents because they wouldn't give him the location of the City of Gold. He planned out the murder of Colton's adoptive father, Ned, sent his minions to kill you, and mutilate your best friend, all for a yiffin' cross! He did not need to go that far, especially with him being a rail tycoon and making a ton of money already. I would hate him even more as a character, but there are a couple things I like about him. A, I like his voice actor.
Now, are you going to show me the location, or shall I continue?
And B, he did get his karma. Unfortunately, even though he got his karma, he still screwed over Colton's life so much that even in death, he still pisses me off. Tom Tails, woohoo!
Put a price on that kid's head.
Spyro Trilogy on the original PlayStation are considered by fans to be the best in the Spyro franchise. But to find the number 8 entry, we'll have to look at Ripto's Rage, and its moneybags. Ask Kikaripto. Hey look, my cousin! That doesn't surprise me, actually. Anyways, the problems with Ripto is that despite him being a magic user, he really sucks at it. He loses his jewel at the beginning of the game by having it eaten by Gulp, and throughout the rest of the game until the end, he sends out his minions to annoy you, minus the boss fights with Gulp and Crush Soda. He seems like a comic relief character compared to the villain of the original Spyro, but the comedy gets old after a while, like my jokes. And even when he is serious, he's a goddamn joke, because all he does in the final battle is and take your gems like a high school bully. And his voice is so annoying to listen to.
Say goodbye, Flame Breath. Go. Lunchtime.
I know that Greg Berger or Berger is a good voice actor with other projects, but in this one, he's annoying, as he never shuts up and spouts annoying lines, especially during the final battle. Overall, I find Ripto to be a bad villain, with annoying one-liners, bad comedy, and he is a terrible magician. Worse than Trixie even, and that is saying something. Why is it that almost every list I've done lately has had a Pokemon entry? Well, it's time to do a normal one. Here we have Norman from Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald. Instead of comparing the video game version of this character to the manga or anime, I will base his entry on his game appearance, because if that was the case, then I would probably not even have him on the list, because I like him in both manga and anime. It's just the game I hate. Now, some may say that he shouldn't count. He's the main character's parent, and they don't do anything anyways. But here's the problem with this. Being the first gym leader to be related to the main character, at least from what I've noticed, I thought this guy would appear more often and develop as a character, or at least the main character would. Turns out that's a lie bird, because aside from his first appearance in Petalburg, you really only meet Norman after beating Flannery. It looks like Norman broke his pencil, because he has no point to this video game as a parent, as they had a chance to develop him and Brendan/May, and they decided not to use it. Also, Norman, great job in bringing Wally into the plot. It's not like you forced him onto us as the rival or anything, because plot development is for losers! Now, I would complain about Wally, but he has no personality to speak of, I find. Norman, on the other hand, is a gym leader you have to face, as well as being a parent to the main character. And the execution on both of these elements fail when combined together, as his parent plot point goes nowhere throughout the entire game. This is just the biggest problem with Norman, I find, and it's what makes me hate him. So much potential, being the first gym leader and also a parent to the main character. For this, we haven't seen a gym leader parent to the main character since then. And it was a complete waste. Okay, his battle may be decent, but in this case, the positives outweigh the negative. So much for being normal. For this entry, let's go to space. And if I hear that Portal meme... What did I just say? Just for that, Rosalina! Here we enter the characters that suck because they don't do anything useful. With Rosalina, all she really does is pilot her ship, as you and the Lumas collect energy for it. I know some people will mention her past, however, her past doesn't excuse it when she doesn't do much throughout the whole game except use Lumas as her slaves. What a bitch! There's nothing else really left to say, because, frankly, again, she doesn't do anything. I apologize for being a short entry, but you know what? If you use someone like slaves, I hate it. Now, if you excuse me, I'm going back to Earth to escape this black hole piece of shit. As a huge Star Fox fan, I like a lot of the characters in the series, like Falco and Panther. However, when the last original Star Fox game was released on the DS, I picked it up, and then I found out what Crystal became in this. Oh my god, did I hate this character. I understand that this is supposed to be character development for Crystal, I just don't like how it went down. After getting kicked off Star Fox because Fox was worried for her safety, she joined Star Wolf, the opposite team. At this point in command, she must have developed a relationship with Fox at least, since this game takes place years after the events of Assault. I understand she would feel bitter towards Fox's decision, but why in the name of Pokemon X did that make her think to join Star Wolf, Fox's enemy? And I know that you can say, well, how else would Crystal be in the game? Why not have her be a bounty hunter or a solo pilot? After all, one of the crappy endings that happens. Yeah, I hated that ending with a passion, but that's for another day. I would also like to bring up that Pigma is in the game as a boss. Yet he's not a part of Star Wolf, though it would be interesting to see what Mechanical Bacon would be like, but I digress. And even after joining Star Wolf, she's the complete bitch towards everyone, and that makes me hate her even more. Because I liked Crystal as a character because of her different personality when compared to the rest of the team. Now, to be fair, once again, in some of the endings, she reconciles with Fox, and in one game that totally doesn't scream Star Fox The Next Generation, has a kid with Fox. But that doesn't excuse how much of a bitch she was throughout a massive amount of the game. There's being bitter about something, and then there's someone in which you just want to put down. This is not Crystal. In fact...
So you figured out I was responsible for this crystal. That was one of my better ideas, next to, you know, glass milk.
Well, congrats, Discord. By the way, have you ever taken drugs?
No, why?
Because you're about to get stoned!
Where's the oh, I get it now!
Overall, Crystal from Command makes it onto this list because of her attitude and what she did throughout the game. And the only reason she isn't any higher is because, at least in some of the endings, she changed. It doesn't excuse her for being a bitch, but she changed. These four did not. Now, if you excuse me, I'm gonna have some Stone Dragon. The Metroid franchise focuses on the gameplay and exploration system when each game is released, and its story, for the most part, takes a back seat to it, in the place of fun gameplay and the music, as well as other things. Unlike Metroid Other M, but I digress. As such, aside from Samus, the characters aren't well developed in these games. Sure, there are a couple exceptions like Adam and Fusion, but for the most part, it's not handled well. In Prime 3, we got introduced to 3 new bounty hunters. Gore, who has an obsession with machines, Rundus, who has a bit of a fanbase in the Countdown community, and then there's Gondreda. Unlike the other two, Gondreda is a case of good concept, but horrible execution. Aside from being Rotom and Larxene's love child, it's nice to see a female bounty hunter aside from Samus running around, and it's also nice that she has shape-shifting abilities. But that's where the fun ends. Her voice is so annoying that it makes me want to drive a stake into my heart and spawn venom. And what is there to say about her personality? It's like Persian plushies. I know she must have some sort of personality in the game, but whenever I saw her through Prime 3, I didn't notice anything unique about her. And yes, I know she technically is an electric life form, but when a human transformed into an artificial intelligence unit, and that's more unique, you're doing it wrong. And even when she became corrupted, her personality is still non-existent. Oh, and I shouldn't really be talking about this, but her battle made me so frustrated I wanted to throw my Wiimote across the room, because I've never found a character so annoying since this character, and fighting this character made me want to scream. Say, I don't recall another experience like this. Forget it, let's just move on. So what's next? How about a villain who played second fiddle to Ganon? Zant. To fully explain why I hate him, I should explain what he did as a villain. He invaded Hyrule Castle, spread the Twilight Plague, killed the inhabitants of the Twilight Realm with a few exceptions, screwed you over by transforming you into a wolf, and he nearly killed you in Midna. Zant is an asshole, plain and simple. But the reason I hate him is because after doing the first 3 things, he starts to act like a school bully and screws you and your partner over constantly as the game goes on. It also doesn't help that his powers are inconsistent. He's able to kill the inhabitants of the realm and take over Hyrule Castle and spread the Twilight into Hyrule, but he can't kill a young boy? I also hated that at the end of the game, he became an insane son of a bitch. Granted, the boss fight wasn't as bad as Gondreda, but it was a bad boss fight nonetheless, because he was spamming more moves than a newbie playing as Pikachu in a brawl match. I think the worst part about Zant, though, is how he dies. He smiles, and he gets mutilated by Midna. Oh, and spoiler alert, Zant's not the main bad guy. So what was the point of him being in the whole game if he was just going to play second fiddle? There was no reason for him to be there at all, if that's all it amounted to. Let's move on.
Ah, spoiler alert!
Yeah, she's on this list again. But what's this? She's not number 1? That's right, I found someone who I hate more than Aelia. But she's still bad enough to be on this list. She constantly interrupts the game to give me useless information, as if I didn't already know about it. She's little to any personality, aside from being a guide to X and Zero, which isn't saying much, as she bothers both characters with pointless info all the time. And she's completely useless as a guide. That information she gives is information the player can figure out on his own. Take X5 for example. She mentions the building is coming down and that you need to get out of the way. Like, no, really? And here I thought taking damage from it would unlock the ultimate armor. She's also not necessary for the story at all. In X5, Douglas and Cygnus come up with the idea of getting parts for the cannon and shuttle to destroy the Eurasia colony. What does Aelia do? Just brings up the shuttle and cannon, not the idea to repair it.
Idiot!
And in X6, she ruins the best part of the Falcon armor by shortening the dash and only being able to dash forward, unlike in X5 when you can do it in almost every direction. I know some people have commented below when I did the worst assistance list about you could do this strategy and then it'll work better, but the thing is, in X5 you can do the Falcon armor in almost any direction. In X6 you can only do it in this direction, forward. Now I know some people may say it would be labeled broken if it was fixed, but here's the thing, every other part of the Falcon armor is still there, and X also has the Z-Saber. I think it's broken enough! And all Aelia provides in X6 is backstory on how she worked with Gate in the past. But what about that program to fight corruption and viruses at the end she was going to do? Well, if the Zero series tells me anything, she didn't do that either. It was a bunch of government scientists who did it. Also, she never repaired Gate like she said she would, so that says something else. That she sucks as a mechanic, and as another character. I know you can say that Douglas and Cygnus should also be on here, but they didn't interrupt the story as much and piss me off as much as Aelia did. Overall, Aelia is still not that good a character. Her personality is bad, her role as a guide is bad, and she's completely pointless to the game. But before we go to number 1, let's recap. Number 9, Tom Tails. Woohoo! Number 8, Ripto. Number 7, Norman's Broken Pencil. Number 6, Rosalina. Number 5, Like a Bitch. Number 4, God! Number 3, Can't Kill a Boy. And number 2, I still don't like X5. Norman had no point. Zant was a bad villain. Aelia was useless. Number 1 has all these qualities and more. He's the leader of his own alliance. He tried to force the main character to his side, and yet he doesn't care about genocide. Number 1 is Black Doom. Oh god, this guy. Speaking as a Sonic fan, this villain is worse than Eggman, Eggman Nega, and Mephiles combined. His first and only appearance was in Shadow the Hedgehog, and even though he had one appearance, he made a horrible impression on me. He was technically involved with the creation of Shadow the Hedgehog, if we want to believe that game's theory, on the condition that he gets the 7 Chaos Emeralds from Professor Gerald. And yet he waits 50 years to get them. Oh, and he makes his creation get them for him. Bad enough? Let's continue! He's also inconsistent with his loyalties, because Shadow the Hedgehog introduced a stupid system of good, evil, and neutral. If Shadow goes on the good path, and then the evil path, Black Doom will completely forgive him and let him back into his forces as if nothing had happened. Dumbass! This Hedgehog betrayed you, and now you're okay with him back on your side? You're an idiot! And don't even get me started on the missions involving him. We have Shadow activate bomb/generators when your men are right there, which doesn't make any sense. Same goes for eliminating the aircraft. And how come retrieving the Chaos Emeralds pisses off Black Doom in a certain case after Westopolis if you do the good path, when he wanted them in the first place? This guy's plans are so stupid that it actually hurts the story because of these plot holes as well as other problems, but I hate him. And that's the biggest problem with Black Doom. Unlike other characters that annoy or anger me, this character actually ruins the game. And that's a damn shame, because I like Shadow the Hedgehog's concept. But you know what? Black Doom ruined it for me. Completely. Putting him at number 1 on this list. I'm the Mountie Chief, and welcome to part 1 of this marathon. Thank you all for watching.